Hi guys, so I said in the previous video that I would explain a bit about my family dynamics, just because when I talk about them it's easier for you to understand who I'm talking about. You know, I've got a big family. So my mum's mum, she was married at 16 to a local Romani boy, but his family hadn't travelled for over 100 years. They'd been in the same place a while, but they were very well known. And so they had 3 daughters, my half aunts, and they were very, very different people. My nan and her first husband, the type of people that shouldn't have really been married. Anyway, so they had 3 daughters, and they met a friend, a Scottish traveller, who, the way we're told, is that he was a lodger, and basically he raped my nan. And my mum was the result of that. My mum was a rape baby. And my nan was never able to get over the shame. Like, literally, my nan tried to abort my mum. She didn't want her. To this day, it's very clear there's no love there, which is a shame. That's just the way that it goes, you know, especially in our culture. And but my nan's first husband raised my mum like his own. He was absolutely amazing. So David, who I spoke about in the previous video, raised my mum as his own. If anything, I think he loved her. He loved her more than the rest of them. They were so similar. It was actually only when we did our DNA that it was 100% confirmed who her father was. So he raised her, and he was an amazing man. And you know, we could have asked for a better father for her. He never treated us grandchildren the same as his other grandchildren, mind. Me and my sisters were never treated the same as our cousins. So that's that. And then on my dad's side, I mean, people keep on telling me I need to write a book about all this stuff because there's a lot to it. So on my dad's side, my grandfather died age 46 from a heart attack. And my dad's mum died at age 25 in a car crash on New Year's Day, 1964. My dad was 18 months old. His sister was 6 months old. They were typical travellers. They were never in one place. They were living in Buckinghamshire, but she died up in Preston, because that's where they were. That's where she was from. So they were up that neck of the woods when she died. I mean, the version I hear is that he was drink driving, went over a bridge, straight into the back of an Arctic lorry. She died at the scene horrifically. Luckily, the kids were unharmed. Another boy who was in the car died. He was only 18. My grandfather ended up having metal plates in his head. I never met him. He died 2 years before I was born. I obviously never met my grandma. My dad doesn't remember her. So my dad was put in foster care. And he was happy. Until my grandfather was well enough to take him back. And in our culture, you don't get fostered or adopted into gorgeous families. But because of the circumstances, no family would take my dad, not for a long length of time. But I took my aunt. My aunt was adopted actually into an external part of the family, and she stayed there for other reasons I won't go into. So my granddad was like, that's my boy, that's my first son, I want him back. And back in them days, you could just turn up at a house and take your kid back, and that's literally what happened. And my granddad had a trailer at the time, in Northampton, I think it was. So he literally just snatched my dad out of the home and just took him back to the trailer. And it wasn't that long after that my granddad remarried. And she was horrific. She was a fucking horrific woman. Horrific. And they ended up having 7 other kids, I think it is. I can't even count. A lot of brothers. So my dad's got 2 sisters and the rest were brothers. I won't go into too much detail about them because we don't get on, we don't talk. So my family's very disjointed in that way. So this is more just clarification when I talk about members of my family. So because I only knew one grandparent out of all 4, I had a lot of input from my aunts and uncles and great aunts and stuff like that instead of my direct grandparents. That's just the way that life goes. Sometimes life could be cruel. So my dad was raised by his father. So my dad was in his 20s when my grandfather died. Then he married my mum at 16 and 17. My parents were born a year and a day apart. So they both left home and got married and stuff like that, and started their own life. And that's where most of my story started, after they got married. So this is just more backstory from my own family. Not every Romani family is close. Not every Romani family has a lot to do with each other. And mine is very much, they have nothing to do with each other. We don't like each other. We fight when we're constantly around each other. We've all got very, very different lives now. And I think where my dad grew up in such a mixed background in a lot of ways, because he didn't have his parents, not proper. And, you know, since my grandma died, her family obviously hated my grandfather's side of the family, and it was a really, really big divide, like you wouldn't even believe. Again, I won't go into too much detail about the stuff my grandfather would get up to, but he was not a lawful sort of person. To this day, I never understood what my nan saw in him, but there you are. So I only knew one grandparent out of all four. So like I said, a lot of the stories and all the stuff I'm going to be recording on my videos is from other parts of my family members. I've had my grandfather try and come through in readings before, but I've refused to talk to him. I won't own up to, like, if I go to like a psychic night and they say, oh God, this man, he's so and so and so and so, I won't admit that I know who they're talking about, because I don't want to hear from him. He don't deserve, you know, he killed my grandmother, plain and simple. Whether it was drink driving or not, it was horrific. And because of that, my dad didn't have a mother. So that's just a bit of background on my grandparents and stuff like that, and just the way that things went. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a lot of stick for that from other members of the community, but I can't help the way that history played out. I'm just a product of it. So yeah, that's that really. On to the next one.